Today we're here to talk about property taxes, protesting your property taxes.
You probably got this in the mail recently. Lots of fun to see how much more you get to pay in taxes. We're going to help you with that.
We have a deadline, if you want to protest your taxes, of May 15th, which is right around the corner. So you have to get it done by May 15th if you want to fight those taxes. I'm Michelleplazek with Realty Advantage.
And I'm Mauldin with Realty Advantage, and together we are Buy, Sell, Love San Antonio.
So you may be getting something in the mail that looks like this. Is what you're going to get in the mail with people that are trying to help you fight your taxes, and you can pay them to do that, or you can do it yourself. They'll take a portion of what your savings are, but I think It's pretty easy to do it yourself, so if you want to try.
And I like to say nobody fights harder for you than you.
That's a very good thing to say, Kim.
So it's worth it to do it yourself. It really doesn't take that long, and you're going to fight harder at keeping more of your own money in your pocket than anyone else will.
That's very true. So the very first thing you have to do is look for your notice that you got in the mail. If you did not get a notice, that probably means that your taxes have not changed. But if they did change at all, you would have gotten a notice, and that's what Kim just showed you. Looks like this.
Yeah, and remember, this is notice of appraised value. It is not a bill. A lot of people think it's a bill. It's not. They're simply telling you this is what they're going to raise your property tax payment to, and you can protest this.
What you want to do is look at the date on that, because you have 30 days from that date or until May 15th, whichever is later.
Well, it's going to be May 15th. So
probably
you got to hurry up and get this done.
The very first thing that you want to do is make sure you can go to bcad.org. That's bcad.org, Bexar County Appraisal District, and you're going to want to check to make sure that they have everything accurate. Look at your property, your square footage, and see if your square footage matches what they have and what they're taxing you on.
Right. Make sure they don't show that you have a pool if you don't have a pool.
Make sure that all your structures are the same, right? If you have a 2-car garage and they're taxing you for a 3-car garage, you want to make sure that's changed.
Well, while you're there, make sure your exemptions are right.
Yes.
You've got your homestead exemption on there. If you're over 65, you've got your over 65. If you're disabled, you've got your disability exemption on there depending on your rating. So you want to make sure that all of those things are correct. And to get started on fighting your taxes, again, you go to bcad.org, bcad.org, and you'll see where you can scroll down to find your online protest, and you're going to click all these little orange buttons that we're going through now. And then once you've created your login or you've logged in from last year, you're going to hit your online appeals, that little lightning bolt arrow. And then we're going to go ahead and do mine right quick. And so I am going to, you have to select the little checkbox over on the left side of your screen by property ID. And then you'll be able to go up to the top right and hit click here to e-file.
And if you've never done this before, you have to set up an account. Once you have that account set up, you'll have it for year after year.
Correct. So once it brings up your properties, and you may have more than one, or you may have just the one, easy peasy, you're going to check that little box over on the left side that says e-file right next to it. You're going to check that checkbox, and then you're going to go down to the bottom right, e-file selected property. Once you get to that page, you have some options. You can choose to conduct everything online. You can choose to file your protest online, but then continue it directly with speaking to an appraiser at the office, or you can do all in person. So you still have to file your protest and continue the process in person. And then you can also request to have a hearing at that time.
What have you done before, Kim?
I have done a few different things. So if I felt like the value that they proposed was, not too far off the mark, I've just protested online. They'll send you an adjustment usually. And once that adjustment comes in, if you're good with it, you can say, okay, fine, I'll accept that. And then you're done. If it comes in and you're like, no, I still really don't feel like that's fair, then you can protest in person. Have you protested in person?
I have not done it in person. I've only done it online, and I thought it was very easy, and they've always agreed with me whatever I thought the value was. So I found no reason
Lucky
to do
her.
that.
Well, I have gone down there, and I've done it a couple of times actually. You can choose between a 1-person panel or a 3-person panel. I prefer the 3-person panel simply because you only have to sway 1 person to get them to help you out. So I do always prefer the 3-person panel. And most of those folks are volunteers. They're just like you and me. The actual appraiser is on the phone, so you don't have to face the actual appraiser. But they're just like us. And so if there is a valid reason to reduce your property value even more and you can show the proof for that, then they will help you out with that. So on the e-file protest information, it does ask you to fill in, why you think your home, give some comments. So I'm gonna just put in here that I don't think my property is valued appropriately according to the rest of my neighborhood.
You are going to ask for evidence. You want to know what their evidence is. Why did they choose to raise your value to what they did? It's better to use their values and their comps rather than trying to find new comps, because we can protest what they did, but we can't show them something that hasn't happened yet. We need to look at what they used.
Right. So in my neighborhood, there's a house across the street that just sold like 2 days ago. It closed, but that was 2 days ago, and we're looking at last year. So I can't use that one, but bet your bottom dollar next year I'll be using it. So, and then it's going to ask me what I feel like the value of my property should be.
Always put something in there. Even if you don't know what it is, just guess. And that's something that you can just use last year's. Whatever last year came in at, say I want to protest it to that.
Correct. All right. And so then it's going to ask you for your protest reasons. You always want to select incorrect appraised market value and value is unequal compared with other properties. So that is VOM and VUE. And you'll see that the third button down does allow you to choose both. Okay, so you choose that, and then you have protest options. And this is where it has person age 65 or older, disabled person, military service member, military veteran, spouse or military service member or veteran. So select which one of those applies to you so they can make sure they have the right exemptions on there. Okay, after you do that, you'll hit submit, and they're going to tell you that you're going to get your evidence packets shortly thereafter.
And when you get your evidence package, so they send you an email and they say your evidence package is ready, and then you actually have to go back into the system, and then there's another place where you can click, you log back in and you can click and it shows evidence package available. Now I was very surprised, overwhelmed a little bit at how many they gave me for my evidence. Well, you don't have to go through all of them, but I took some of the ones that were closest to me, and then I, as a realtor, was able to go in and look at those houses and what they sold for and compare them to my property.
Right.
And this is where you might want to call us or email us and talk to us about showing you that and helping you through that.
Right, we can send you what sold last year around that time. The other thing you really want to do, and you can look at the online map, is you can look and see in your neighborhood what your neighbors' homes are being valued at by BCAT. And yours you want it to be equitable. So just like, when your kids are, 4 and 5 years old and one of them gets a piece of candy and the other one doesn't, well, that's not fair. Why does she get a piece of candy and I don't? Well, same thing. That's not fair. Why do they get lower taxes and I don't?
Remember that the appraisal district is only going by square footage of both your property, your land, and your home, the structures. So they're looking at a price per square foot, and you can easily do that and compare to your neighbors and see, are they getting charged less for the same amount of land that I have, or vice versa.
Exactly.
So, but then you can also look, now that's one of the first steps you're going to do, but then you can look at other things. Is your bathroom updated? Maybe not. And the house that sold for the exact same price that you're being valued at, maybe they had a bathroom that was...
Or maybe you've been into your neighbor's house and seen it.
So we can look at the houses that have sold, we can look at the amenities they've had, maybe, and then you want to look at some of the things that still need work in your house. Maybe you have a cracked driveway. Take a picture of that cracked driveway, and that's your evidence that your house is valued lower than your neighbors because they don't have a cracked driveway.
And maybe you need a new roof. Get an estimate for that roof. Tell the tax appraisal district, it's going to cost me $12,000 to put a new roof on my house, and I need a new roof. Maybe you have foundation damage.
Yes.
Get an estimate.
Maybe you live next door to a house that is in poor condition, overgrown, really needs
lots of junk in the yard.
Yeah. You can take a picture of that and you can send hey, this is where I live next door to. My house is devalued because of this neighbor.
Exactly. So that's all part of the evidence that you can submit when you file your tax protest, once you get to that stage in your protest. So remember, there's a few stages. You have to start before the 15th. You have to do that initial step before the 15th.
Yes, not the whole thing. You don't have to provide all the evidence because you will be given a date for your hearing, whether it's by phone or whether it's in person.
Right.
And sometimes they don't even ask for a hearing. They just come back at you and say, even if you don't even provide the evidence, they'll say to you,
right,
Well, okay, we'll offer you, like if your house was valued at $425 and you're saying, no, it's valued at $400, they may come back at you and say, we'll offer you $415, will you take it?
Right.
And you can say yes or no. If you say yes, you'll take it, then you're all done.
Easy
You don't
peasy
even have
done.
to provide the evidence.
The tax appraisal's job is to get the most amount of money with the least amount of resistance. So they're going to give you a little something to start with just to say, okay, fine, be done.
Now, if you decide to go in person, I did not go in person, but I was on a Zoom call, so I was actually in person in front of them. Be kind. Don't be mad, because they expect you to be mad, and when you're kind, it's going to work out better for you.
That's right.
Just
you get
be
more
calm.
bees with honey than you do with vinegar. So be nice, be polite. They're there doing their jobs, just like we have to do every day. They're not the ones that raised it. The person you're talking to isn't the person that raised it.
Yeah.
They're trying to help you out. And they really are very helpful. I've been there a few times, and they've always been very nice, very helpful.
Yes. So when you get to that point and you need some help, give us a call. Remember, I'm Michelleplazek with Realty Advantage.
And I'm Kim Mauldin with Realty Advantage. Together we are Buy, Sell, Love San Antonio. So go find us online. Follow us.